Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to St. John, New Brunswick, where we're going to be hosting the Mississauga Power, a huge game this evening. Very happy here to be broadcasting with Bryer and MacPherson, and Bryer has really spearheaded the whole idea of this Millrats page. That's a new blog post essentially, and so Bryer's going to touch a little bit on that right now.
Yeah, so basically the whole way it started is I was kind of talking to Ben, and he mentioned the idea of a blog. So I said, well, why don't we combine this thing together and kind of work together and bring the fans a little bit of extra coverage on the Millrats, which wasn't really available before now.
Right, and so one part of it was talking about the blog and have an opportunity to kind of recap what's happened in past games and maybe what we're looking forward to towards the future, I believe. And one key thing as a broadcaster this year I've learned is being able to feature specific players from the Millrats, and one of those guys that I think deserves a lot of credit that we don't always give him credit for during the games is definitely Mr. Williams himself of the St. John Millrats. So we've actually have him up here with us on the broadcast, and Bryer and I will have a couple of questions for him if possible.
Oh, good.
Hey, Jeremy, welcome to the program.
How you doing?
We're just right there on cam. So we looked a little bit into your past. I noticed actually a quick connection between yourself and I, because I spent several years working with Coach Will Voigt of the Bakersfield Jam, and realized that you had actually been drafted by the Jam, and you're from Tennessee, is that correct?
Oh yeah.
Your hometown?
Memphis, Tennessee.
And what college did you play for?
Actually, I played for 3 colleges, man. I started out at the University of Colorado in Boulder, and I went there for my freshman and sophomore year. I redshirted for my sophomore year, and I ended up going back to JUCO, where I then got re-recruited to go to UTEP, which is Texas El Paso.
Now that's great, and so it's we talk a lot about kind of the journey of a basketball player. You know, I played college basketball. I didn't make it to the pro level, but even just college basketball alone is a full-time commitment, full-time job, and even being away from family where you are now, and you're in Canada.
Oh yeah.
So a huge shout out to anybody, and especially your hometown in Tennessee, where you've got that family tuning in. Really important to talk about. But coming back to playing for the Millrats, what's been the greatest, I guess, the most positive thing that experience you've had with the Millrats so far?
Actually, just really, I'm not gonna lie, just turning the season around as a whole. I mean, the guys had a pretty rough start, starting off, and me and a couple of other new guys, came to help out, and they treated us like family. The whole city as a whole just took us under their wings, and which makes it a positive vibe for us all. And I mean, you see the outcome right now. The process is
absolutely. Stacey Atkinson, who got caught up, he's normally my co-host, got caught up in the snowstorm this evening. We seem to run into a few of them along the season. But the first thing he said to me as he called me on his cell phone was, when we had you up here in the broadcast, to talk about that 180 shift we've had since the beginning of the season. So as high school coaches, being able to watch the Millrats kind of struggle at the first of the season and make that huge shift towards what you talked about, a family, and we talked about that in our blog. You're really seeing that on the court, whether it's sharing the basketball or your style of basketball, where you just battle nitty-gritty type style of basketball, attacking. You're not afraid, once you've got your shot up, attacking to get your own rebounds.
Oh, yeah, you definitely got to bring that to the table.
Loose balls. Oh yeah. Everybody's all over the floor, all 5 players, and that comes down to a team chemistry thing.
Selfless basketball.
And that's what we're seeing, the difference between early in the season and now. And I just put on Twitter today about this being a powerhouse team in the National Basketball League of Canada, and you're a huge part of that. And I don't think you get enough credit for it. So
I appreciate it, man.
So Stacey and I talk quite often about those players that do the little things to keep a team into the game, especially in the fourth quarter, where those last 4 or 5 minutes are crucial to a win. And what gives you that drive? Like, you're one of those guys, and you remind me kind of Tyrone Levitt too, and a Kenny Jones. It's just a natural. It's not something you can teach.
practice.
Right.
You know, with the guys, like you said, the guys you just named, I mean, those are pretty gritty guys you just named, Tyrone and Kenny, and they bring it to you every practice. You're going to catch an elbow or, you know, a forearm to the chest at least every other play, you know. So, I mean, we take that and we bring it over to the game. And, you know, for myself, just being on winning teams in the past, I learned that those very detailed things during the clutch times really get you and help you prevail.
Right, and then we talk about that family atmosphere. Coach King is a guy to do it. He's so calm, cool, and collected. He seems to bring that to the bench, whether it's calling a timeout at the right time or knowing the right thing to say to a player. It's been a thing of beauty to watch. But again, drawing back into that sense of community and family that you guys have going on down there, it's just amazing to see. And I'm sure you will agree that will actually make you stronger in playoffs.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, like I said, you always got to pay attention. You know, getting down into the gritty part of the season. I feel like, you know, getting ready for the playoffs, you see a team so much. You know, teams learn to adjust. So, I mean, you know, just paying attention to detail and doing things to the T, you find out loopholes when you do those things all the way through, and you find out, oh, I can do this or I can do that, you know, through the process of getting something done. So, I mean, you know, a few tricks.
Yeah, and you nailed it. Casey and I have all season been talking about how you have to build ultimately at the end of the season a solid puzzle, and then you've got pieces along the way, and those pieces all seem to be gelled, and all the key pieces are there for a really strong playoff run. So thank you so much for coming up to the broadcast.
Thanks for having me, man.
And we love your game, your style of game, and your work ethic, and for any of you tuning in from across Canada, the United States, around the world, keep an eye on this guy because he's going to tear it up once he gets. Thank you again.
I appreciate it.
Go enjoy the warm-up, and we'll see you during the game.
Okay. Y'all have a good one.
So, ladies and gentlemen, I was really lucky to have that opportunity to have a player. You know, again, hats off and credit to Bryer here. He came up with a couple great ideas. Number one, this broadcast taking place pregame, the blog, the idea behind the blog. I'm now calling him the social media king because he seems to know exactly where to go with these things, and it's brilliant. So having the opportunity, Bryer, as we just saw, to have one of those work ethic guys up on the broadcast who may not always get you know, the moment in the spotlight on live TV, he's getting that chance now. Well deserved, I'm sure you'd agree.
Yeah, and you know, the whole reason why I thought of this pregame show thing was because on the regular broadcast we start kind of right when the game begins, so we don't always get the chance to go over the visiting team from tonight, and you know, even a look at the last game the Millrats played and stuff like that. So it kind of gives a little bit of an added feature to the broadcast. I think it'll be a fun thing for us to do for sure. Absolutely,
and also a huge shout out to the Mississauga fans back in Ontario. You know, we talk about this league expanding into Ontario and the strength and depth of these teams in Ontario. It's just incredible. So you're looking at another very, very strong matchup between these two squads, and the head coach of Mississauga, a very good coach, a very good team, and then again we talk about team chemistry. Mississauga Power have got that team chemistry as well, so again, two great matchups for tonight's game.
Yeah, and while we're on the topic of the Power, why don't we go over, get a little bit of a rundown on this Mississauga team. So they're sitting last place in the Central Division, but you know, that's no reason to underestimate them for sure. They're led by a couple of guys. Warren Ward, he's averaging 18.7 points a game and also leads the team in rebounds per game with 8.4. Another guy I'd like to mention is Omar Strong. Just last game, was watching online and talking to fans around the league. We were just amazed. You know, he put up 42 points, and the Power just barely completed the comeback, losing by 3 points in overtime. And you know, he's just a very large part of that comeback, and it was an incredible performance for sure. So big shout out to him.
Absolutely, and we keep touching upon this season on the live stream television broadcast how much this league has improved as far as talent. These teams are so closely matched talent-wise that, like you said, someone who's ranked low, low in the standings, taking on the number 1 team in the standings, it can go either way. It comes really down to the fourth quarter and down to the buzzer 99% of these games, and that's the difference you're seeing in this league in comparison to seasons in the past. And again, it comes back to the recruitment process, building key pieces, of these teams, and seeing really a lot of the younger players coming out of Division I schools committing to play here in Canada and playing pro basketball. So again, Bryer, you nailed it. Some key players on Mississauga who are kind of up-and-coming stars in the league. What about the St. John Millrats? What have you got on them?
Sitting at 14-14, third in the Atlantic Division. It's pretty much guaranteed now that they're going to have a first-round playoff matchup with the Halifax Rainmen, so that'll be a good one. They played each other a lot this season, and it's always been a hard-fought game. But they're led by the big ticket, Kenny Jones. I don't think that surprises anyone. Leads a team with 20.9 points a game. And as far as rebounds go, it's Air Canada, Eric Cruikshank. Another one that doesn't surprise anyone. He's averaging 8.1 rebounds a game. And I believe he's in the top 5 of the league. So, you can always count on him, not just for rebounds, but he can come into the game late, pump up the crowd, and, attack the rim. And that just, blows the roof off this place each and every game. I think that's one of the main strategies Coach Julian King uses is Cruikshank. You always can count on him to come in the fourth quarter, and Coach King uses him very much to his advantage.
Right, and what Coach King's done extremely well, and we keep giving nicknames to a lot of these guys, that you may not have had them before. We talk about Cawthron from New Haven, Connecticut. I've spoken with several coaches from Connecticut who've just loved the way his style of play, and we talk about the nitty-gritty. This guy is a defensive specialist, and we've also learned recently in games here in St. John that he's not afraid to throw down that two-handed dunk or that open three. So kind of one of these multi-talented players who's new to the roster, but again feeds right into this idea of every player in this league is dangerous, and whether it's Air Canada or Big Ticket or Mr. Work Ethic himself, Tyrone Levitt, the true professional, every player that Coach King has on his roster, it's so deep that everybody has a role, and that seems to be transferring into wins on the end of the game. And you touched on some key for the Millrats, and so back to the overall view for this game coming up. Mississauga has a very strong, highly talented basketball team. I don't think Bryer will be in any shock at all right till the very last seconds of the game, and that's coming back to the sheer and talent amongst all these teams. So again, National Basketball League of Canada continues to grow, and we're going to see this happen in the years to come. As with Canada basketball, it's a number 1 now amateur sport across Canada, surpassing hockey, which would surprise most people. But again, the National Basketball League of Canada has played a real key role in promoting the game, and I think people are noticing that now, and it relates to this game tonight. So if you're tuning in to the broadcast tonight, either in Canada, United States, or overseas, you're going to see a highly talented basketball game, very close, probably neck and neck most of the game, Bryer, and you'd definitely be impressed with the level of play we're seeing here in St. John and across the league.
Yeah, and another kind of a notable point, these two teams have a little bit of history. Halfway through the season, when the Millrats were in the middle of the big shakeup, they actually made a trade with the Power, sending point guard Jabs Newby over to the Power, and in return they got Alex Superman Johnson. I think that was definitely a big trade, and so both these players are playing their former teams tonight. So it should be an interesting one for sure.
Right, so at the end of the day, it doesn't matter where you sit in the standings in the National Basketball League of Canada, your two opponents going head-to-head are going to be strong teams, and we're expecting a very good basketball game tonight. So so I guess we'll go ahead, Bryer, and sign off from here. But any final comments before we head down to broadcast?
Not too much for me, but hope the fans enjoyed the game. I think it's going to be an action-packed one for sure.
Don't be shocked if you see Air Canada and Superman Johnson link up for a massive dunk tonight. That's my prediction. We'll see you soon on the broadcast.